Jennifer, you are director at the Project Factory and have had a lot of experience working with multiple digital strategies. Can you tell us a bit more about really what the components are that can help drive a successful digital strategy?
Look, I think the point of a digital strategy is that you really got to understand who your audience is and what you're trying to achieve with that audience. And I think that what an awful lot of people do is come up with digital tactics, which is we're going to build an app or we're going to have a website. And that's not a strategy. The strategy is where are our consumers, where is our audience, and what do we have to do in order to get their attention? And that then starts to say, well, do we need to think about being a brand, a digital brand? Do we need to have a channel where we can reach consumers? How do we actually take our brand or our product or our services and put them across a range of devices so that people can find us in a whole variety of places? And what does that mean for how we design them or what the user experience is? And so a strategy is, I love the idea that tactics is what you do when there's something to do, and strategy is what you do when there's nothing to do. And I think that the whole thing is about, if you have nothing to do, what are you going to create to make people want to come to you? And from a digital perspective, that means looking at, is there a game or gamification involved? Is there a virtual world that should be there? Have you thought about mobile, either in websites or mobile sites or in apps? Have you thought about web? Have you thought about web apps? Have you thought about how you change your presence depending on the time of day or the day of week or what somebody does with you? So your digital strategy has got to encompass the whole way in which your audience, each individual audience member, is going to interact with you, and how you manage that one unique relationship you have with them across a whole variety of digital touch points, because they're not going to come to you on one device and then come to you on a different device and expect to not be recognized. So making sure that there's one consumer and that one touch point is what's critical.
Thank you. And what about when you were putting a team together to deliver a successful digital strategy? One of the findings that came out of our Pulse survey was that creative thinking was the most critical behaviour that was needed to ensure success. And we measured that against things like technical know-how, commercial nous, analytical thinking, being a people person, multitudes of other great things that absolutely we do need. But creative thinking did come out on top. What are your views on that finding?
Look, it doesn't surprise me, and in fact I'm absolutely thrilled that we're starting to see creativity in the way that we do. It's interesting, in the last 2 years I've heard people start to talk about design as a concept, and they don't just mean making it pretty. You know, they talk about design in a chair, so design is about function. And I think creativity is about the same thing. Creativity is about original thought, it's about innovation. And while without a doubt you have to have financial know-how, you've got to have technical know-how, you've got to have human resources, you've got to have all of these things in the company. If you're going to change what you're doing today, it's going to be because you can imagine a future. And if you don't have creative people to do some of that imagining, even if it's just about imagining something that other people can then bounce off, then I think you're absolutely hindered when you start. And the thing that's most interesting is that a single really good creative person in a company who's just bouncing off the walls makes everybody in the company more creative. Because by throwing concepts and ideas and new thought at people, other people start to think differently or start to think outside the box or start to think about what they can do. And that's, if you want, the power of creativity. Without that, you make tiny, minuscule changes to what you're doing because the process is better, but you will never imagine a richer future.